farm, family, community. This is Midwest Farm Weekly.
Good morning and thank you for joining us on Midwest Farm Weekly. I'm Elaine Wells. Wisconsin is capitalizing on consumer cheese trends. We will take a look at what is dominating the market, plus putting compost to work for farmers. We will meet a local startup aimed at reducing landfill waste while improving soil. And from safety to financials, there is a new resource for farmers to tap into when it comes to legal questions. In your news headlines, U.S. farmers produced a record corn crop in 2023. Production topped 15 billion bushels, 12% growth over 2022. The soybean crop was larger than expected at just over 4 billion bushels, but that did drop compared to 2022. In Wisconsin specifically, we also saw a slight dip in soybean numbers, harvesting on average 51 bushels per acre. We also followed the national trends when it comes to corn, bringing in a large crop, averaging 176 bushels per acre. With 1 month of data still to be reported, U.S. pork exports to Mexico have already set an annual record for 2023. January to November exports to Mexico totaled more than 995,000 metric tons. That's up 13% year over year. Mexico has long been a large destination for pork cuts such as bone-in hams. Now pork loin is emerging as a star in the market. The U.S. Meat Export Federation says that growth is thanks in part to mobile workshops and tasting events using this. It's the U.S. Pork Truck. They were able to reach 25 cities in Mexico the past year, plus several events with corporate partners in that country. Wisconsin dairy researchers are benefiting from more than $1 million in grants to better use byproducts from the cheesemaking industry. The researchers at UW-Madison were awarded the grants from the Dairy Business Innovation Alliance. That's a partnership between the Center for Dairy Research and the Wisconsin Cheesemakers Association. The byproducts of dairy processing, including whey and lactose, are typically considered low-value commodity products. They're frequently spread on the land or dried as animal feed. The goal of this research is to create opportunities to use them as additional revenue streams. Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin released its first ever trends report. I sat down with them about the 5 top consumer preferences and how Wisconsin businesses are adapting to demands.
So first of all, it was all about connections, and no surprise there. I mean, humans just innately want to connect, and I think now more than ever. And so for us, I mean, that was evident anecdotally because we have a community called Cheeselandia. And so we brought people together just through the love of cheese. And, you know, we found out that that connection is really, really powerful because, I mean, cheese is just associated with some of the like tastiest, most powerful memories of your life. The second one is kind of this home culinary thing. And so this is a trend that we really saw a huge boom in with the whole pandemic. And that just hasn't gone away. People were forced to cook at home. If you were going to eat a great meal or have a great food experience, you had to have it at home. And so people realized, you know, that was kind of fun, and they're still doing it. They enjoyed it. They enjoyed making their own sourdough bread or mixing their own cosmopolitan or making their own cheese board, or in my case, a fabulous family brunch, which has remained a tradition, right? And so this home culinary thing is still going on. The next thing was mindful indulgence. People are realizing that you need to prioritize your own mental, physical, emotional well-being. And that certainly is a trend that we have uncovered for sure. So you want to indulge in little things like, of course, in our case, great cheese. The next thing was global health. So not just focusing inward, but also outward. You're always concerned with like, how is this impacting the planet? And certainly our cheesemakers, our dairy farmers here in Wisconsin are always concerned with how am I going to leave this place better than I found it? And then the flavor frenzy. I mean, that is something that is hitting us big. With social media, people are seeing all of these cool things on TikTok and new things that they can do and experiences, and they want to try it. And so we're seeing like this rise in like flavored cheeses and really cool things to try. And so that's a big thing. So those are the 5 trends that we uncovered.
World Dairy Expo has announced the 8 individuals selected to serve as associate judges of Expo's 2024 Dairy Cattle Show, and there are several local connections to the full lineup of officials. Brandon Ferry from Hilbert will judge the International Ayrshire Show. The International Guernsey Show will be judged by Lynn Harbaugh of Marion. Mandy Bew of Freedom will be the official at the International Junior Holstein Show. You can see a full list of judges in the Midwest Farm section of wearegreenbay.com. You'll want to watch for woodpecker damage to your ash trees this winter. The Wisconsin DNR says if you find damage that looks like this, you should make plans to take action this spring. Damage like this is a common early sign that an ash tree has emerald ash borer. That insect is now present in 69 of Wisconsin's 72 counties. Detection at an early stage is critical to save ash trees. In these cold conditions, farmers, of course, are making sure their animals are comfortable and blocked from the wind. For animals who live on a pasture, farmers add large bales of hay to give animals a makeshift shelter. In some cases, farmers are bringing animals into buildings. At this horse rescue, they have turned their indoor arena into a horse hotel of sorts. 30 horses are camped out inside until the temperatures warm up. Food and water are critical for animals when it is this cold. It's all to keep their energy up.
When it's this cold, they like to stop drinking. Super important that they keep drinking to keep hydrated, so we offer them a little more as far as like mineral salt, electrolytes, and that stimulates their drinking a little more.
Farmers are also increasing feed in some cases, making sure animals have access to more nutrients as their bodies work harder to stay warm. The Dairy Strong Conference brought farmers from around the Midwest to Green Bay this week. More than 450 farmers representing over 280,000 cows, along with allied professionals, attended that event. Organizers say final tallies will also show strong walk-in attendance, boosting those numbers. The conference featured presentations from leaders in dairy policy, farm management, and sustainability. This is also an important chance for farmers to network.
I think sharing our story, with whether it's with consumers or other farmers, is really impactful because we all learn from each other. So actually one of the fellow panelists that was with me today was somebody that I had sat down with over lunch and picked his brain a little bit because I knew that they had done multi-sites or something similar to what we were looking at doing. And so he was able to give us a lot of good feedback to help us make that transition smoother as well.
At the Dairy Strong event, the Dairy Business Association honored Tom Crave of Crave Brothers Farm with the association's Advocate of the Year Award for his role in shaping Wisconsin's dairy community. The Crave family farms in Waterloo, and they have 2,100 milking cows, 1,400 heifers, and more than 2,500 acres of cropland. Crave firmly believes in implementing sustainability practices and technologies on the farm, including reducing tillage and crop rotations. In 2006, the Craves added a manure digester and has provided power to more than 300 area homes and helps to reduce their methane emissions. Now, in addition to the family's farm, the brothers launched a farmstead cheese operation in 2001. They produce several award-winning varieties of cheese. Congratulations to Tom. A Wisconsin cheesemaker has teamed up with the Green Bay Packers to fight hunger. With the win over the Cowboys last Sunday, the Green Bay Packers and Sargento Cheese passed the $100,000 mark for donations in the Touchdowns for Hunger program. The team has scored 51 touchdowns this weekend, not including, leading to a total of $102,000. Still to come, it's an award-winning concept from a homegrown entrepreneur. We'll show you his ideas to improve soil health and reduce waste.
Well, Jeremy Hansen here from Fox Valley Technical College for Life on the Farm. And joining me today is Nick Tomey. Nick, thanks so much for your time today. And we're actually working on some tractors today, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
So tell me first, what do you do?
I do mobile repair, mobile ag repair.
Right, so you have a truck and you visit farmers or other businesses and help with whatever they need to have work done,
Yep.
right?
Anything from breakdowns to preventative maintenance.
Right. So what are we working on today?
We happen to be working on an 8360 here.
And what's wrong with it?
It doesn't want to run.
It doesn't want to run. And what do you suspect the problem is?
Gelled up or frozen fuel.
Right. So how does diesel fuel gel in the wintertime?
Well, the fuel separates into its waxy and fuel into two pieces, and the wax gets caught in the filter.
Right. And so then what do you need to do to get that engine running?
change out the filters usually and add some more additive to the tank to keep that from happening.
Right, and you mentioned additive. You know, is that something we can use as a preventative?
Yes, you can make sure that you have a winter blend from your fuel supplier and make sure that you add a winter anti-gel to the fuel tank.
Right, and those are something you can just buy at any hardware store or gas station?
Yes, you definitely can, or you can talk to your fuel supplier and see what they recommend sometimes.
Right, right. So, you know, we're actually standing in a shop. It's not heated, but if someone had a heated shop, could they just pull their equipment like their skid steers that they use every day in a shop?
They can, but that does add another layer of challenges sometimes because you're going to have more condensation in the fuel tank, so you're going to want to make sure you add some sort of isopropyl to every fuel tank to make sure it doesn't freeze up.
Right, and that'll absorb the water, correct?
Yes.
Well, you know, diesel engines, they do have the water separators. Wouldn't that way be effective in the cold weather?
Yeah, we actually have a tractor here that had a problem with it's literally frozen. It's not even gelled up.
Yes, I guess water does freeze at 32 degrees, doesn't it?
It does.
Right. And Nick, final question is, what has your life looked like in this last week or so?
It has been a little crazy this week. Anything from dead batteries to gelled up fuel filters to hydraulic issues because of how cold it is this week.
Right, and everything is probably sitting outside that you're working on and not in a nice heated shop, correct?
Yes, yes, it is. It always breaks down in the most inopportune place.
Right. So Nick, you know, thank you so much for your time today, and we're going to go look at the tractor a little bit and see if we can get it running here today, and thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Yep. So for Life on the Farm, I'm Jeremy Hansen.
Perhaps a little light, or should we say warmth at the end of the tunnel, Alexis?
Yeah, after this frigid week, we will get warmer. After a snowy past week, though, we do currently have 14 inches of snow depth on the ground as of Thursday. Most of southern Wisconsin has anywhere from a foot up to 18 inches of snowpack still on the ground. The further north and west you go of Green Bay, not as much. But so far from this year, so from January 1st to now, we have almost 2 feet of snow accumulated for this season. Average for this time of year is only 7.6 inches, and we're well above where we sat just a year ago. Last year this time we had just over 1.5 inches on the ground. So it is our snowiest month in January, and we have seen that so far. Typically this month we average about 14 inches of snowfall. It's also our coldest month. Typically our average high temperature is around 25.5 degrees. Now as the snow came through, this actually helped our drought and our numbers quite a bit. First time in a while we've seen positive numbers here in Green Bay. We're about 1/100 of an inch above where we should be for this time of the month here in Green Bay. Still an extreme drought further south and west of Green Bay, but Wisconsin looking much better now thanks to the snow. Looks like through the next 10 days or so we could see another wintry mix come through. Right now it's looking to stay south and east of Green Bay, more towards the Milwaukee, Chicago area, but since it's more of a wintry mix with warmer temperatures, we will likely see rain come through in that time period as well. We typically don't see too much liquid precipitation in January. Through the next 10 days we could see up to 1/2 inch of liquid precipitation come through because of our warm-up. 18 for your Saturday, 17 on Sunday. Look at the jump from Sunday into Monday, though. Temperatures back closer to the freezing mark to start off the new work week. And then we stay in the mid to upper 30s for a majority of next week. Some days like Tuesday and Wednesday could even get closer to 40 degrees. And the Climate Prediction Center keeps us in this well above average category for temperatures heading through the next week to week and a half to almost 2 weeks. So that's all the way until about February 1st. We will see well above average high temperatures, and we will also stay above average for precipitation as well. Looks like most of the eastern United States is in this above average category for temperatures, so we're right on par with a typical El Nino year where we do see those warmer temperatures and wetter conditions here in Wisconsin. We do stay below normal for precipitation the further south and west you go of Wisconsin. Stay with us. More ag news coming up after the break.
Welcome back. On this segment of Sustainably Speaking, a local business has been recognized for its conservation efforts. Local 5's Ryan Kudish brings us the details.
In a small garage in Chilton sits New Compost LLC, a business with the goal of helping growers switch to more organic inputs instead of fertilizers and chemicals. Connor Frymuth, the owner of New Compost LLC, explains what his business is doing during its early stages.
I actually work with a lot of farmers in the area, as well as cut flower producers and orchards, and I actually take a lot of waste that would have easily gone to either the landfill or out into the field to just rot, and put it back into good use.
Frymuth says this good use is adding beneficial amendment to help the soil return more moisture and improve the amount of nutrients absorbed by plants. Recently, a local nonprofit called New North awarded Frymuth the winner of the 2023 New Launch Alliance pitch event. This organization helps young business owners launch their business and gain credibility within their respective industry. Frymuth says it was a tough competition.
I was lucky enough to be the recipient of said award because of the message that I was trying to bring. Because when it comes to composting, or when it comes to soil in general, there's a lot of problems affecting us.
Those problems include 60% of Wisconsin's compost ending up being unutilized in landfills, chemicals entering the waterways resulting in blue-green algae blooms, and soils void of nutrients, including minerals and omega acid. Frymuth says this award helps keep the motivation high to continue what he's doing.
It really was reignition of my passion to keep pursuing what I'm doing, to see that people do believe in my message, that soil is the solution. And it really helped me really boost my confidence as well as get my messaging out even further, even more clear.
And that's Stably Speaking. I'm Ryan Kudish, Local 5 News.
Thank you, Ryan. For a link to his website to check out the products or NEW Compost social media pages, maybe you want to connect with him, you can head over to our website, wearegreenbay.com. She is a longtime friend of the show and advocate for agriculture. Kelly Wilfert wears many hats, and today she is here to explain her new role with UW-Madison Division of Extension as a Farm Management Outreach Specialist. That's a big business card.
It is a big business
card.
But
it is such an important new role. Talk to us a little bit about why you were hired on with Extension and what you're doing for them.
Absolutely. So I'm actually going to go back a couple of years, and a lot of folks probably remember when Extension made the transition from a single county, one agent or educator to more of a regional model. And as part of that process, some of those teams or specialists were pulled to sort of a statewide level. And that's where I'm at. So I joined the farm management team with Extension as a statewide legal risk outreach specialist. So I previously worked as an agricultural attorney. And while UW used to have an ag law specialist in Phil Harris probably 5 years ago, and he had been there for about 30 years. Since his passing, that role has been unfilled. So as farm management started looking to expand their team again, I was made aware of the opportunity and had worked with them previously and was lucky enough to join the team in that outreach specialist role.
We were just looking at your website. I spent a long time on there. You have some incredible resources available for people. Give us a high-level overview of what they'll find.
Yeah, absolutely. So the farm management team website has a variety of topics. Again, they're all going to be related to farm business management. Extension still does a lot of work on soils and dairy and livestock, but when you head to the farm business management team, you're going to find information about financials, leases, contracts, human resources, working with employees, a whole variety of programs and publications for you to learn about farm business management, whether you're just getting started with farming or whether you've been at this for a number of years. We also have been really excited in the last year or so to add a Hmong outreach specialist in Gaonu. So we also are starting to translate a lot of those resources too.
Wonderful. You have some upcoming webinar events. Let's talk about this one. Specifically focuses on the legal aspects of agricultural and farmland leasing. This is the time of year a lot of people are working on rental agreements and lease agreements.
Yes, as you can probably imagine, in Extension we get a lot of questions about leasing. In Wisconsin, actually about 1/3 of the farmland is leased according to the last ag census. And because leases are sort of, I don't want to say they're low dollar value, but they're not something necessarily that every farmer wants to run to an attorney and have looked at. So Extension gets a lot of those common questions. As a, don't know quite what word I want, but in light of that, we essentially decided that we should really put together some more resources on leasing from the legal perspective now that we have an attorney on staff. I can't be anyone's attorney. I don't do,
to be clear,
don't give legal advice, but we are putting together have put together some videos about some of those quirky legal aspects of farmland leasing. And then our webinar will actually be more of an open opportunity to ask questions of myself and some of the conservation experts in the state as we talk about what you might want to see in your farmland lease, or even just why you might want to consider a written farmland lease.
Speaking of asking questions, you also let us know that there is a place where you can submit a question should you have it. Again, this is not official legal advice, but a good place to start. We're going to have a link for you so you can submit any questions that you have on our website, wearegreenbay.com. Just click on Midwest Farm. Thank you for being here, and what a great resource you'll be for our farmers throughout the state.
Thank you so much for having me.
Have a good weekend.